So the
Uh,
five elements: financial, physical strength, mental endurance, mental clarity, and skills.
how did you raise the money? And secondly, what would you say to people who want to raise money?
Why would a company want to sponsor you? It's the hard reality of mountaineering. The oxygen was not helping me out. I don't have words, but I can explain the story.
So there were a
Yeah,
lot of smart ass people who told me, "Oh, it is a fake photo." I'm like, "Yes, it is. So what?"
20x tougher than Everest in the Vedas, which says that when you are ready, the guru comes to you, not the
Hmm.
other way around.
Hmm.
Okay, you can't go and search for a guru.
Hello and namaste to everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. So, in this episode of On the Mic with Parth, we have with us a very special guest, somebody who I look up to, especially because he summited Mount Everest at the age of 49. Now, if you look around us, people who are close to 50, they are completely done with life. They can't even walk properly, they can't even think properly, their energies are completely dull and down. Unfortunately, that's the reality for most people. But here is this almost 50-year-old person who climbed Everest in May 2022. 6 months later, he summited Ama Dablam in a span of just 3 days. Sunil Nataraj from Bangalore. So he is somebody who I met at the Everest base camp when I was there in the last spring. What I like about Sunil is his very systematic approach towards his physical preparation, towards his mental preparation, and towards his spiritual side of life. And I think his journey, his approach, his mindset, and the clarity that he has is something that will benefit a lot of young people who are watching today. Whether you climb mountains or don't climb mountains, his journey, his approach, his mindset is something that will really benefit you, and it will really give you clarity in your life also. So, without much further delay, here is presenting Sunil Nataraj, everyone. Awesome. So, we will start. I'm recording. Recording is
Definitely.
on. Everything is good. So, yeah. How are you, sir?
Namaskaram. Namaskaram,
Namaskar.
Parth. I'm doing
Namaskar.
good and I hope you are doing well too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Gearing up for the spring season. I will be leading a few expeditions in the upcoming 6 months from April to November end, actually. So just gearing up for that. How about you? What's going on in life right now?
Again, the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The mountains are calling back in spring,
Yeah, yeah.
and I need to go back to complete what was incomplete last year during my Everest expedition. I was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to do both Everest and Lhotse, couldn't do that for some obvious reasons. So I'm preparing for Lhotse, very excited about it as well.
Awesome. So, as I was just saying to you, the one unique thing about you, the one very beautiful thing about you, which I like, is your very practical, specific approach to everything that you do. Training, be it mental preparation, or be it putting the information out there for people on your Instagram, on your Facebook. It is very step by step, very cut, and very informative. So, I would like to get into deep into this mindset of yours. So before we do that, I would like to understand, where did this idea of climbing, not Everest, just climbing, start in your life?
So it's I think I don't know if you want to call it a laughable thought. This came up in 2011
Mhm.
when I was on a pilgrimage with Jaggi Sadhguru to Kailas. And
Wow.
very one funny thing happened, I had some extra days in Kathmandu. So some of us decided that we will take the famous mountain flight, right?
Uh-huh.
That would
Uh-huh.
take you around Everest and
Everest.
show you Everest from a distance. Yeah.
Hmm.
So unfortunately, the flight got cancelled that day due to bad weather. And I still remember the first crazy thought that came to my mind was, hey, why the hell should I see Everest from a flight? But I rather see the world from its peak,
Wow.
right? The thought I think was so strong enough. I didn't doubt that thought. I didn't doubt my capabilities. To be honest, that day I didn't know what was the height of Everest. I didn't know where
Hmm.
exactly it was situated. I didn't know how much it would
Hmm.
cost. I didn't
Hmm.
know what it would take, but I didn't doubt the dream. And that started manifesting. Probably it is Sadhguru's grace or something, internally that took it forward. The journey started from 2011. That's how it started.
And 2011 up till then, or what were you doing in your life before that, in terms of work especially? How was your life like before that?
Yeah, I was happily married. I
Hmm.
was working hard, making a good income, paying my monthly EMIs end of the
Mm-hmm.
day.
Mm-hmm.
That is how life was.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also say that by 2011, I was getting slowly into my comfort zone, which I'm not. Okay, so something made me comfortable, and I was slipping slowly into that zone of just telling, "Yay life hai, I've got a good family, got a good
Hmm.
job, so let's relax." And I think that is where I knocked myself out of it, and I said, "Okay, let me do something different." Kailash happened that year. This thought of Everest came into picture, and a lot of things happened after that, right? Because I then realized, oh man, Everest is very expensive. With the type of earnings I was in, I wouldn't be able to climb, even if I did my best. So that is when I upgraded my skill sets, got into a
Hmm.
different job, got into a different role, started earning a little higher, got into a really top position in the organization so that I could get shares, and I built funds for my retirement. Because who takes care of my retirement, huh? If everything goes to the mountains?
Of course.
Then built funds for my kids' education, and after that started saving for my passion. So that is what I was until 2011. A drastic shift in terms of coming out of my comfort zone post 2011. Then the journey started.
You know what I would like to point out to the audience who is listening here? A lot of young people who dream of climbing Everest are here today listening. And you know what one has to observe in what you said, if someone wants to learn something. You saw this dream in 2011. You took small steps, you made, small lifestyle changes. You planned it for a long term. You saw this dream in 2011, but you climbed it in 2022. So it is
Yeah,
11 years of preparation. Here nowadays, 16, 17-year olds are all asking me on Instagram, I'm sure even you, that we want to climb
yeah,
Everest, but we don't have time for courses. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. They want shortcuts, very fast, fast, fast. They want to climb Everest. I saw the dream in 2010, took me 9 years of preparation. You 2011 to 2022. So for young people who are in so much hurry, do you want to say something to them?
see, Ari makes worry. There's a common term, right? And
Hmm.
as you rightly said, Parth, there is no shortcuts in anything, right? Be it even slimming down, right? A lot of people ask me, "Hey, I want to shed weight. How can I do it quickly?" And I tell them, "Look, there is no shortcut path, because any shortcut you take, looks like gain, but it's a longer term pain."
Hmm.
And especially for people like me, when I started pursuing my dream, I was married, I had a family, I had to balance family, I had to balance my work, I had to balance my passion. So there were
Hmm.
multiple things happening. So
Hmm.
absolutely no shortcuts. I always believe that you need to take shorter goals into
Hmm.
perspective, achieve those, but have that big vision in front of you always. Start that journey reaching a milestone after another. That's how we undertake a journey, right?
Hmm.
For example, I want to go to Mysore. There are milestones. I want to stop at one place, have breakfast, go to another place, visit a temple. So that is how mountaineering is all about. There are no absolute shortcuts. It takes absolute preparedness
Yeah.
to even go and test those mountains. No other way.
Absolutely. And I always look at my journey, and in my experience, I just think that if Everest would have happened maybe sooner for me, or maybe in a very easy way, like I would have all the money, all, everything given to me on a platter, the experience of Everest would not have been as enriching, as I could not have learned the lessons that I learned if everything was given to me easily, or if I would have done it fast. I think more than what Everest, the mountain, taught me, it is the 9 years of journey that actually made me into whatever I am today. I think it is very important to go through the process. And I always say the process should be the goal. the outcome will anyway happen.
That's very inspiring, Parth. I'm glad that I'm hearing it from you, and I hope a lot of youngsters who write to us and on Messenger or whatever source understand this very aspect of it. It's journey that makes a person, right? It's not
Absolutely.
always the destination. We may not reach the destination, but the preparedness has to be there. And sometimes we may not reach the summit, right? There are a lot of things that are beyond our control in the mountains,
Yeah.
which we have absolute no control.
Yes.
But I will be disappointed though, but I will never say I could have done better, because
Hmm.
that preparedness would be
Hmm.
absolute. And I don't come back and retrospect and said, "Oh, I should have prepared well, right? I should have
Yeah.
done that better."
Yes.
I don't get those thoughts at all, because preparedness, if it is absolute, you can handle disappointments. It's not
Very well
always the
said.
summit that matters, it's the journey.
Absolutely, very well said. And in life, in anybody's life, there are only two dimensions. One which is in our control, one which is not in our
Yeah,
control. Whatever is in our control,
yeah,
not even one person should go out of hand. That kind of
yeah,
preparedness. But whatever is not in
absolutely.
control will anyways not be in control. If you worry about it,
Yeah.
still it will not be in control. If you don't worry about it, still it will not be in control. If you have to worry about
And
something,
and you're absolutely right. And what I've seen most of the youngsters falter these days is they think too much about things that are not in their control
yeah.
and forget to take that very first step,
Yes.
right? They get into an
Overthinking.
inertia, overthinking a lot, and they forget that very first step, and boom, that's the end of their Everest, right?
Yeah.
Everest doesn't mean that climbing Everest. Everest is the biggest dreams that we all have in our lives. So if we don't take that first step, just because we are thinking about a lot of things that are not in our control, comfort zone starts.
Why people get into the comfort zone? Because they get trapped in this, what we call this paralysis of analysis. They just keep thinking, thinking, thinking. They don't take a step. Inertia sets in and done. They are in their comfort zone. They're finished.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you start fighting with your own mind, it's a never-ending game. It's not going to
Mhm.
take you anywhere. You are just fighting, trying to figure out what the mind is telling, trying to intercept that, interpret that. So it's a never-ending game.
Awesome. Awesome. What was your age when you submitted Everest last year?
49.
Wow. Okay. So, I would like to understand that from your childhood, in your growing up years, were you in any kind of sport? Because why I'm asking this is that you started for, in a way, started preparing for mountains a decade ago. But to start at that age, if a little background of sports is not there, it can be a little difficult, I think. So I would like to understand how your growing up years were in terms of sports.
But a lot of people might find it hard to believe. My very first climb was in 2021. My very first trek to the Himalayas. I had not seen Himalayas. I had not seen Himachal Pradesh. My very
Okay.
first trek to Himalayas was in the month of March 2021. Okay.
Okay.
My first ever climb of a 6,000 happened in October 2021. My first ever attempt of a 7,000 happened in November 2021. So, and 2022 Everest happened. So, in summary, climbing was not in my blood, nor I was a very active sports person. But
Hmm.
in school and college, it used to be play anything that your neighbors are playing, right?
Right. Right.
So one day it used to be cricket, one day it used to be some local sport. It used to be mostly like that. So never a sports person. But I think I had somewhere in me that I used to have some liking to go hiking or trekking in my childhood, but never got a chance. I would appreciate and think that, hey, I could have gone to that mountain or climbed that small hill close to our place, but never used to happen,
Hmm.
because very protective environment, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Parents would not allow you to go and do some adventurous stuff. And the cycling was of very interest to me. And I will let you know how that has manifested
Yes. Yes, please.
in my life recently. But again, to answer that question, not a sports person, and everything started post 2018, I would say, when I
Hmm.
realized that I had the funds now to actually attempt Everest. So all the changes started happening from then.
Okay, so when you say changes, can you explain us what kind of changes were they?
Okay, so what I believe, Parth, is whatever you want to achieve, whatever want to achieve big in life, you need five elements. Just like
Hmm.
the five elements that we have got spiritually,
Hmm.
I believe that we need five elements to pursue our biggest dream. One is the financial strength. Okay, people may disagree to this. They may say, "Hey, money can't buy anything." Absolutely, money can't buy anything. But friends, you need money to summit Everest, or you you need money to even go out for a trek with Parth. Okay, he charges you. Nothing is free this world. Okay,
Yeah.
so you need that financial strength, right? And after that, I realized in 2018, I had worked like a donkey, put on so much of weight. I was literally 95 kgs. Okay. And my height is 165. So I was
Oh,
literally 30 kgs above.
overweight. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I started preparing to get fit. Okay. So the second element that you need is you need physical strength to do whatever you want to do in life, not just mountaineering. Whether you want to go and get a good job, you need that physical strength, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
started working out. I started moderating my food habits, and it took me almost 1.5 years to get fit, like what I am today.
Mm.
I maintain between 65 to 67 kgs.
Very nice.
Very ideal for my
Yes.
height. My fat percent is around 18%. I got a good
Wow.
muscle fitness. So it took me almost 1.5 years. So it involved a lot of strength training. It involved a lot of running. Uh, I was not a active runner until 2018. I started running long distances. Not for the sake of running a marathon, but for the sake of preparing myself for Everest. Right? I would do a lot of half marathons. I've done several marathons, but these were at my pace. Okay, learning what experiences I was able to get while running. Right? How is
Mm.
my heart moderating? Right? Am I
Mm.
breathing well? Because in the mountains, when you start climbing, the oxygen gets lower, as we all know. The heart has to do a lot of work. So at my age, I couldn't afford the heart to be beating at a maximum level for a long duration of time. Not good for my arteries, right? So I started learning how to moderate my heartbeat, doing those runs. And then I realized, man, okay, physical strength is there. Now there is something beyond that, right? You need that mental endurance, okay? Because the mind is very good at stopping you when you reach that threshold, right? You
Yes.
know that.
Yes.
So when climbing, when you are extremely out of energy, there are a lot of things happening around you. The mind basically can control you and get it to its grips and literally make you stop climbing. So I needed that third element or the third dimension, the physical endurance. So I realized that, cycling probably would help me. So I started looking out for events that would test my endurance. So there are clubs called randonneurs. It's a French term for ultra distance cycling. Every city, major city has got one, and it involves completing a particular distance in a particular duration. For example, 600 kilometers, you need to complete that event in a total time of 40 hours. Okay, then you get a very prestigious medal from Paris. So I started taking part in those, and my best time today is a 600 kilometer in 38 hours total time. So what does that mean? 600 kilometers means you need to cycle for 2 nights and a day. Okay. And guess what? Summit pushes happen in the night.
Yeah.
So I was learning to sleep deficit, right? I was learning to stay put. I was learning to be aware. I was learning to push my mind whenever my mind said, hey, take rest, right? It used to happen in cycling. Night times I used to see a petrol bunk. The mind used to say, hey, let's go there, relax for some time, and then go. You see a tea shop, it wants to rest. You can't afford that in mountains because your clock is ticking, right? In an
Right.
8,000er, right? I didn't want it to die, consuming more oxygen and not getting to that other point in
Hmm.
time to change the oxygen
Of
cylinder.
course.
So, cycling helped me a lot. So the third dimension was covered, which was mental endurance.
Hmm.
The next thing was I needed mental clarity. How do you handle emotions at that altitude, right? And
Hmm.
Parth, when you go up, the only thoughts that come to you at that altitude are mostly negative, right? And you
Yes.
can't control those thoughts; they keep coming. However, I learned how to quickly come out of those negative aspects,
How?
right? I learned meditation helped me a lot.
Hmm. We'll come into
So
that.
meditation,
Yeah.
yeah, the kriyas that helped
Hmm.
me a lot. So the fourth dimension was taken care of.
Hmm.
And then in 2021, I realized, bloody hell, I've got everything. I don't have the main element, the skills to climb.
Ah.
I didn't know how to climb. Okay. And that is when I thought, man, I should do a mountaineering course. And then I realized I was over the age limit
Mm-hmm.
of the mountaineering institutions.
Mm-hmm.
And that became a big showstopper. That is
Hmm.
when I contacted Lakpabai, the
Hmm.
founder of 8K Expeditions. We had a
Hmm.
long chat. He became my mentor. I climbed with him in Nepal, and I think he imparted me years of experience in probably 1.5 months. And that's how I learned climbing, and that's how I prepared myself for the coming expedition, which was 6 months away. So from the climbing, I realized I had several strengths, and I also had several areas to improve. Okay, and that is what the next 6 months, starting from November of 2021 all the way till March of 2022, I was working on improving those aspects that needed improvement. And in March 2022, I felt I was absolutely ready for it. And Path, you might know, I did a speed trek
I
from
wanted to
Lukla to
ask you
EBC
about that.
in just in just 24 hours. So that was my way of assessing my preparedness, right? Just to ensure that I had not left anything unturned. So that is how I evaluated my readiness, and then I went for it. So the
Ah.
five elements: financial, physical strength, mental endurance, mental clarity, and skills. Whatever you want to do in life, you need these five.
Hmm. Absolutely. I want to dig deeper into the training aspect of it. So,
Yeah,
as I, like many others, follow you on Instagram, we see every day you are posting your workout. Someday it is strength, someday it is running, someday it is running with somebody who you are leading for Everest Base Camp, or I think it's Everest Base Camp that you are leading people,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I want to ask you this one thing: your training routine. For example, for
Hmm.
let's say you started from day 1 to 125, if I mistake not, you have 125 days
Yeah, yeah,
total.
yeah,
So
yeah.
day 1 to day 125, how do you plan the days? What is the source of that knowledge of how to plan your week, your weekly progression, how much strength work to do, how much endurance work to do, how much rest, how much yoga? So how did you come to this routine, is what I want to ask.
Yeah, that's a good question, Parth. So for me, fitness in general is a journey. Okay, I don't start preparation just for Lotse. I do a lot of things throughout the year.
Hmm.
However, I believe that you need at least 100 solid days of preparation for you to be able to attempt in 8,000, minimum
Hmm.
100 days.
Hmm.
And for my age, I've realized that 125 is more ideal because the muscle memory takes a little bit longer as you
Mhm.
age. The
Mhm.
muscles are weak, you need to strengthen them. So it's a 125 days. So now, considering specific to Lhotse, Lhotse has got a different challenge, right? From Camp 4 all the way to the summit, it's a pretty steep incline. So what
Just
does that
steep.
mean? I need
Just steep.
steep, you just are jumaring up throughout. So what does that mean? It means that you need a lot of upper body strength, you need a lot of lower body strength, and you need a lot of endurance to keep pushing you forward. So my workout regime, I keep it simple. I don't complicate things. Okay. I don't write it on
Absolutely.
a big board telling that week one is this, week two, week three. No.
Okay.
I've trained myself to listen to my body very well.
Hmm.
Okay. I've trained myself to assess the progress on a monthly basis. I've got a
Okay.
very specific measure stick in terms of how do I measure myself. For example,
Yeah.
when I started on day one,
Yeah.
okay, I had completed Ama Dablam. I had come back. It took me 1 month to recover from Ama Dablam, and then I started the fitness journey. And when I did that first assessment, I could not even do one push up technically. Okay, what I mean by technically is the push up has to be correct,
Correct.
right? When I mean I'm strengthening, I'm doing a push up. There are muscle groups that need to be worked out.
Right.
That had gone for a toss. I could not even do one. Okay, and I told myself after 1 month I should be able to do at least five in a technically correct way.
Right.
Okay. So I keep these measures one after the other. Okay. And my regime is very, very simple. Three alternative days of strength training uh, without fail. Okay. I don't compromise on the 3 days, alternate days in the week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, evenings, 5:30 to 6:45 is just strength training. Nothing. Okay. And every session, I work on two muscle groups.
Yeah.
Okay. For example, yesterday I worked on chest and triceps.
Right.
On Monday, it was shoulders and legs.
Legs.
Okay. I make sure that, the closer muscle groups are not worked out on the same day because,
Yeah.
it's like stress and strain. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
And Friday would be back and biceps, or Fridays, once in 15 days, I do a very extreme functional training. So these 3 days in the gym is very, very focused. Uh, the 100 days, I make sure that I work with a personal trainer. Okay.
Yeah.
The personal trainer knows about which mountain I'm going to climb. I share videos with him. I explain to him what is needed so that, he is also mentally prepared to train me. Okay. And we do basically five uh, sets each muscle group, five different workouts, I would say.
Yeah.
And each muscle group uh, would be 3 sets, 30 reps. So it's a pretty intense 3 days in the gym. Apart from that, I've recently, I used to do yoga a long time back, but I've just gotten back to the rhythm. So I go for a yoga session every day in the morning. And what I've realized, Parth, is it is complementing me very well
Hmm.
for my strength training.
Yes.
It has made my strength
100%.
training enormously easy. I didn't know this. I didn't know that yoga could do that. Okay.
Hmm.
And in between, I do runs, and I just don't run for the sake of running. Okay. I normally do 3 runs per week. The one run is called an interval run, wherein I do a very fast paced
Trent.
1 kilometer,
Yes.
take my heartbeat to the maximum, and then I do a 1 minute walk to get my heartbeat at least 40 to 50 beats lower. How
Yeah.
does this help? It helps in high altitude. When you're
Yeah.
climbing and when you stop, you don't have the luxury of taking 10-minute breaks, right? You take short 1 minute breaks. And how do you moderate your heartbeat at that altitude to get it down? So
Yeah.
that's what I train with interval
The
runs.
recovery
Then
capacity
I
is
do,
also very important to recover
yeah. So
as fast as
training
you can.
exactly. See, I don't have the luxury of mountains in Bangalore. Okay.
Hmm.
So all I can do is simulate some things that
Yeah.
are very similar in the mountains, and interval runs are the best way for me to moderate my heartbeat, moderate my breathing. And the second run is usually an aerobic run. I basically run, 10 kilometers at a very consistent pace. If I'm running at 6 kilometers, 6 minutes per kilometer, it's that throughout. Okay. It builds good breathing
Right.
strength. It improves my cardiovascular. and it improves my endurance. Okay, because normally it's very difficult to run at a constant pace beyond a couple of kilometers.
Yeah.
Okay, so that helps me with
Mm.
endurance and multiple other things. And one run these days, I'm doing something in a very controlled environment. I go to a treadmill. I use a altitude mask, and I control the air inflow. These days, I'm running at 40% inflow, and I do a 5 kilometer run. Okay, and I basically make sure that the 5 kilometer run is intense. Huh? Intense in the sense that I do a 5 kilometers in sub 30 minutes. So it's as intense as that with the
So,
mask.
two questions in this particular segment of running with the mask. First question I want to
Yeah.
ask is, see, I've also used mask. I also use mask in my training when I go for treks and everything. Uh, I want to clarify one thing here for the audience, and I'm sure you would agree to this, that it does not simulate high altitude in the sense
Yeah.
it reduces the airflow, not the oxygen content, not the air pressure, because oxygen content is still 21%, just the air is going in. So it makes breathing harder. It makes your lungs need to work and heart needs to work harder to get that amount of oxygen to the body parts. So so this one thing people need to understand, that it is not the oxygen that is being controlled, it is the air. So I want to ask, in your perspective, uh, why did you start using mask and how has it helped you for high altitude? Second, you said that the runs are intense. So in the 5 kilometer walk, what would be your average heart rate?
Okay. So, firstly, thanks for clarifying that because a lot of people think that they can simulate high altitude
Yes.
environment by wearing a mask. As you rightly said, that is not the case. What the mask does is it adds friction to the coming air, so that
Hmm.
breathing becomes difficult. So when breathing becomes difficult, your lungs are not getting filled with air. So to compensate for that lack of oxygen, your heart has to start beating harder and
Yes.
more number of
Right.
beats because it has to pump the blood more to your system in order to compensate for the lack of that air that your lungs are getting. So this is very, very similar to the lack of oxygen at high altitude,
Mhm.
wherein your heart
Mhm.
has to compensate for that particular
Absolutely.
lesser concentration of O2 in the air.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I'm actually exercising my heart muscles, building a memory to the heart to start operating well. Okay.
Very got it.
Secondly, I'm building muscle memory to teach my muscles to start releasing anaerobic energy.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
because at altitude, there is absolutely even the fat has disappeared from your system, right?
So so
You're
so
not
so
eating.
so just I'm sure most people here don't know what aerobic and anaerobic is. So if you can explain to them a little bit what this means, it would help them understand your
See,
concept better.
aerobic energy is the energy that you get from the air that you are breathing. Anaerobic energy is the energy that are stored in your muscles, and these energy is released when you are sprinting very, very fast. Okay. For example, we all know about the marathon runner, Kipchoge.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
He uses aerobic energy because
Yeah.
he's not sprinting. He's running at a consistent pace and he's taking in a lot of oxygen. Usain Bolt sprints like crazy, the 100 meters, right? In that 100 meters, his lungs are not sufficient enough to take in that much energy to push him so much.
In 10
So the
seconds. Oh.
muscles will have to release that stored energy, right,
Hmm.
for him to sprint so fast. That is anaerobic. So
Okay.
in mountains, I've realized that, you are anyway having lesser aerobic energy. Your energy that is stored in your system because of your food is also very low because at that altitude, your appetite is gone, right? You have not consumed good amount of food, and whatever you have consumed at the base camp is all gone by the time you reach camp 4. And from there, you need anaerobic and a lot of aerobic or some amount of aerobic and a lot of anaerobic. So I'm
Exactly.
actually training my muscles to actually start releasing that energy when it feels appropriate. So when the heart is beating so much, the amount of air that is going into your lungs is limited, and you are stressing yourself so much on a treadmill. I'm doing around 5.5 minutes per kilometer,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Which is a really
Yes,
good pace.
yes, yes,
Okay,
yes. Especially with the mask.
and your body is with the mask, your body is getting into an exhaustion mode, and then the muscles will realize, man, I need to now do something. Okay, and
Yes.
they start releasing that anaerobic energy. So that is a type of muscle memory I build when I approach an high altitude. Especially for me, for my age, I don't have the luxury of taking my heartbeat to 200 max. I've got the luxury of taking my heartbeat to only 160.
Mhm.
Okay, because your maximum heart rate is always 220 minus your
Minus
age,
your age,
and
yeah.
and you need to keep your max at just 90% of your 220 minus your age.
Hmm.
Okay. So unfortunately, Parth, I don't have that luxury at my age to be able to stress my heart considerably, right? Over age, the arteries become weak. And if I stress my heart too much, the arteries might break, might rupture. So I have to do a lot of other things to basically keep my system running. And that is what I'm doing with these the training mask runs.
Awesome, awesome. I think this is one of the most clearest explanation about training someone has given me in my podcast so far. Uh, Big thank you for that. I think this is the approach that most from the basic to the most elitist people use. Just the permutations and combinations are different. Even when I train my
Yeah,
clients, be it for Everest Base Camp or Pangarchula, or a 6,000er to a 8,000er. I'm training a client from Gujarat for Everest right now. She will be on Everest. So the same concept of mixture between aerobic and anaerobic, uh, that is the approach that needs to be taken, because in the initial phase of your expedition, more aerobic work happens, long duration, long distance, and just through your breathing, the heart is able to compensate, the lungs is able to compensate. But as you go higher, nothing is coming in, barely anything is coming in, your heart is beating like crazy, but still you need to keep going. So and looking at
yeah,
you, this is something which a lot of people ask me, that people see my trainings on Instagram. I'm always in the mountains. So they get a little FOMO, fear of missing out, that, oh, if I'm not living in the mountains, I will not be able to climb mountains. Well, here you are living on flatlands, doing a very systematic understanding training, understanding the elements of what you will experience up there, and simulating it in the best way possible down on the flatlands. And I think it is very much possible if you approach your training smartly and consistently, that anywhere you in the world you can train for the highest mountains in the world. Yes, if you have access
yeah.
to mountains around you, nothing like it, that takes your training to the next level, no doubt about it. But living in the flatlands also is no problem. So if somebody asks you this question, how do you answer them about flat training versus mountains?
I think it's evident. I've climbed the mountains, staying at almost sea level. So I tell them that look, everybody is unique. Each body is unique. Okay, so we need to understand how our body operates in the first place, right? So we don't get into the integrities of that. Okay, unfortunately, but it is very important for you to understand. Hey, how does the heart and lungs collaborate? Because your body is working because there's a lot of collaboration between each and every organ in the body. Okay,
Mhm,
so
mhm.
how does that collaborate? So this is a very basic theorem, right?
Mm.
Lower oxygen, your heartbeat pumps up. Okay, and and always I tell people, a lot of people ask me, I want to climb Everest, and I ask them, what else have you climbed before? And they say, I've trekked this. Okay, and Parth, I think this is, I think, also the right forum for us to classify or clarify the difference between a hike, a trek, and a climb.
Please do.
Okay. So, so people, when they meet me, first they tell me, "Hey, here is Sunil. He has climbed Himalayas." And I said, "Man, Himalayas." Okay. So people, you need to understand, Himalaya is a region. Okay. Within this region, there are thousands of mountains. Everest is one among them. So please, if you are introducing me or Parth, and you want to share our accomplishment, please say, "Hey, here is Parth, and he has submitted Everest."
I
Okay,
get
please
that
don't
all the
say
time.
yes.
I get that all the time. Even on
Please
big,
don't
big,
say.
even on big corporate events, they are like, he has climbed Himalayas. I'm like, Arey, mere bhai, you are introducing me in front of 500 people. At least do your research properly. But it's a very big problem, and I'm very glad you thought about this. So yeah, please
Yeah.
go on.
So please remember that. Let's respect that effort at least. Okay, we
Yeah.
have not climbed Himalayas. We have climbed a mountain, specific mountains. Now they say, "I want to trek up Everest." Okay, you can't trek up Everest. You'll have to climb Everest. You can trek to an Everest base camp. So there is a difference. Hiking is something that you do for a day or off a day. Okay, like you take people for a 1 day hike to the Sahyadri, is the beautiful place, right? That's a hike. You go and come back within a day.
Yes.
Now there are treks. They don't call Everest base camp hike, right? They call Everest base camp trek because you have multiple hikes happening over multiple days to reach your destination and come back. So that's a
Yeah.
hike. Now, climb is beyond that. You got rock climbing, you got wall climbing, you got, free solo, and then you got this high altitude climbing, then you got this high altitude alpine style climbing. So, climbing is something that you are going up a mountain with the use of a fixed rope, you're having a harness in place, you're trained for it, and there are a lot of things that you need to be prepared for. Okay, so please don't confuse these three, and please don't interchange these three words or these three things. Okay, please don't say he's going to hike up Mount Everest. Okay, it's a laughable thing, to be very frank.
It
Okay, so
hurts.
please don't confuse these three. And
Absolutely. And even today I met a few people and they were like, same thing, he has climbed the Himalayas. I have heard it so many times, I don't even bother explaining now. But
yeah,
because at every meeting, this happens. Somebody wants to trek Everest, somebody wants to climb Sahyadris. They all interchange
yeah,
everything. But I think
absolutely.
it's a very genuine thing because people are not into this field, so it's natural for them not to be aware of this, and it is the responsibility of people like us to speak about it and clarify it. I'm very
Yeah.
glad you brought this up. And one question I want to ask you, which I'm sure is the most asked question to all mountaineers: how do you raise the money? And and with you, I have seen a very interesting approach, a very practical, a very mature approach, I would say. You spoke to me also on a personal note somewhere, and I have seen a few comments of yours on for example, I think Prakriti's post about money or something. So you always speak long term. That's the best solution for any mountaineer, be it anywhere, is to be self funded in a way, to find ways to sponsor or fund your own expeditions. And I think that's a very mature approach, and that is what I am approaching towards. My next 8,000er, it's my goal to do it with my own earnings. How did you raise the money? And secondly, what would you say to people who want to raise money? You said that you worked and saved up, but was that it?
Okay, let me take up the second question first. What
Yeah.
would I tell people about raising money? Uh, the first advice I would like to give is don't go and take loans to fund your passion. Okay, thinking that आप एवरेस्ट करके आओगे, बड़ा नौकरी मिल जाएगा, बड़ा sponsorship मिल जाएगा, and I
Sir,
can clear off my loan. Okay,
sir,
that's a prophecy. That's a false prophecy. Okay, so never take loan. Okay, crowdfunding is one alternative. It works or it might not work. Okay, crowdfunding doesn't guarantee you that it will generate all the funds that you need for your expedition. It could generate probably 30 to 40% of the funds. Okay. And secondly, about crowdfunding, it doesn't always work. Huh? Please ask yourself a question. Why should somebody else come and pay you 1,000 rupees for you to go and climb a mountain?
Hmm.
Right? I would rather have that person use that money to, feed some poor kids, right? Or spend that same money to educate some kids who are ill
Hmm.
fortunate today. So why would somebody want? My simple question is, why should I come and fund your passion? It's your passion, right? Not mine, right? You are going to climb the mountain. You are going to be on the top of the world. You are going to get all the accolades. So why should I fund it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it might work the first time. It might not work the second time. So crowdfunding, be cautious about how you approach people. Okay. Crowdfunding, if you have a really big cause, right, of telling, hey, I'm climbing to support this cause, and the money that I'm going to get, I'm going to use 10% of it, and 90% is going to some philanthropic purposes, I would support you. Okay. Because you are doing it for a reason, for a cause. So, crowdfunding, be cautious. The most important third thing is, people think getting sponsorship is very easy. Unfortunately, it is not true. Okay. You need to ask yourself a question. Why would a company want to sponsor you compared to sponsoring a cricketer? Okay. If they sponsor a cricketer, there is TV time. Okay. So you will see the cricketer wearing the logo and, being on television, watched by millions of people, and that gets that brand equity, and they may get some returns from sponsoring you. How does that help in mountains? I have still not figured it out. Okay. Big companies like North Face or Columbia in the US and Europe sponsor some climbers because in those countries it's a well recognized sport. But if you come back to India, go and ask some of the adventure companies, they will tell you, okay, here is a t-shirt, here is a boots, okay, here is a bag, and you generate a reel for me on Instagram. That's it.
Hmm.
So I've not figured out still what is the right way to fund money. Maybe the connections might work. Maybe it's about uh, how do you go and influence people, like-minded people. More importantly, not everybody. That might work. But in my case, all my expeditions are self-funded. And what I also tell a lot of people is start working, start making some money, right? You don't have to go and climb Everest the very next year after you complete your basic mountaineering course, right? You don't have to go and climb Everest the very next year after you climb Nun or Kun or any other peak in India, right? You have time. So figure out how you're going to make money. And I really appreciate your openness, Parth, because, I still remember you wanted to go back and do Annapurna. And then, you were training hard, you were trying to accumulate funds. And I really respected your candidness because you came out and said, hey, I can't do it because I didn't have the funds. And now my plan B is to work towards it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, what exactly you're doing. You're
Mm-hmm.
doing a lot of training, you're running expeditions, you're taking people for treks, right? So look at alternatives and look at ways to generate that income. And in my case, it was super hard work. Okay. Nothing came free. It was super hard work, upgrading my skill sets. I had to upgrade my skill sets at the age of 38. I had to upgrade my skill set at the age of 45 so that I can earn more. Okay. If you have the right skill sets, you will be able to earn more, you'll be able to generate income. And not all of your income should go towards funding your passion. Okay. So hold money for contingencies. And once that is taken care of, your passion starts. Okay. So it's not a answer that a lot of people would have liked to hear, Parth. it's the hard reality of mountaineering?
No, absolutely, yaar. I mean, the first thing that you said is something I would like to elaborate on from my personal experience, which is the first advice you gave to not take loans. I did that mistake not once, but twice. And I'm
Mm,
paying loans for both of the Everest and Annapurna expedition as we speak in
mm.
2020. What is it? 4? 3?
23, 23.
23. I'm like
Yeah.
this sometimes. So I think I lost too much
Yeah,
back then.
the loans will make you stressed.
No, absolutely. And as you said, it's exactly what I thought, that, oh, if I climb Everest, money will come. Nothing comes. You have to make it happen. And if money has to come, it can come before that also, if you make it happen. So I think from my personal experience, please don't ever take loans for any goddamn mountain. It's really not worth it. It's really not worth it, especially if you are not able to summit. Then nobody asks you, then nobody even asks you. If you summit, that there are many opportunities which you can create. It never comes, but you can create them if
Yeah,
you have an enterprising mind.
yeah.
But I'm still struggling, 3 years since Everest, and I'm still in the last bits of my loan. My life has become very restricted because of that. But I would not go back in time and change it, but I would not do it again. There is a
Mm,
difference. I don't regret
yeah,
it because I bloody made it happen at the age of 22. I raised that
yeah,
funds and I made it happen. So there's no regret, but if I had to do it again, I would not do it again.
yeah.
And yeah, so money.
I would say, it's good to take risks. Uh, However, you need to calculate those risks,
Yes.
calculate the mitigation. You have a proper mitigation plan in place in terms of what happens, like what you said, Parth, in case if the summit doesn't happen, right? And as you rightly, you had an absolute great point. If the summit happens and when you come down, and if you're creative enough, you can create a lot of opportunities. Okay, there are a lot of possibilities that you can create, like starting an expedition company for that matter, because you have got that experience. People will, listen to you in the first place. They will have a
Yeah.
trust on you.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of ways to
Yeah.
make that happen. However, yeah, be cautious about the loans part of it. Because it's going to be a never-ending dilemma, right? So
It is, it is, it is. Yeah. Then you had the money, you were prepared, and you went on Everest. So, how was Everest for you? Was it as you were expecting? Was it more difficult than you expected? Easier than you expected, or more different? How was your experience, actual experience up there? We also met actually on Everest Base Camp
yeah,
just
yeah,
before you were going for the summit push after your rotations
yeah,
were done.
yeah.
So, how was Everest?
So the Everest, I've heard about it from Everesters, like, what's the Kumbui's Fall, what's the Lhotse Phase, what's the Geneva Spur, right? What's the South Ridge, what's the Hillary Step. However, you know, you will have to experience it and get to know, how well you're prepared. So until then, it's all a prophecy, right? You can say, hey, Lhotse phase, I will do it in 6 hours, or Kumbu is fall, I'll cross it in so many hours. It's just a prophecy. Okay, things can be totally different,
Hmm.
and I was not expecting everything to go according to my plan. However, path I had prepared for every possible eventuality. Okay, I had prepared down here in Bangalore to handle any type of an eventuality that would happen up there. Okay, that is a mitigation plan I had. And I do not know if you know this. I reached Everest Base Camp, and then the body did not acclimatize
Yeah.
well, and I was seriously hit with a pulmonary edema. Okay, so my SpO2 had dropped to 58 that night. The doctors at the medical center were really worried about me because there was no rescue at night. Okay, I had to spend that entire night with that low SpO2. The oxygen was not helping me out. So, I faced that. The next day morning, I decided that I will pay for the helicopter and come to Lukla rather than getting evacuated using insurance, because they would not allow me to come back again. Right. So, So I flew down to Lukla and I was hospitalized for 7 days because for pulmonary edema, there is no medicine. Okay. You just need to take high concentrated oxygen and allow the water in the lungs to evaporate. Okay. So spent 7 days on a bed with oxygen mask, taking concentrated oxygen. Seventh day, I recovered. Spent a couple of more days in Lukla, then again trekked back to EBC and then did a rotation. And, the rotation was very difficult because the lungs were not fully recovered. The Kumbu crossing took me 11 hours, which is a very dangerous thing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I was telling myself that, hey, once I reach Camp 1, I would evaluate whether I would push forward or, abandon the Everest plans. So reached Camp 1. Uh, Even though I was struggling, I thought I can at least go up to Camp 2 and then decide. So things happened. Went to Camp 2, then eventually during the rotation, scaled up Lhotse phase, got an experience of it, touched Camp 3. That was my first ever 7,000 scale. Went a little bit above Camp 3, and all this was without oxygen during the first rotation. And came down, and then I had a lot of lessons that I had learned during this rotation that I had to correct. Okay, I was slow, right? One was the lungs were not supportive at the Kumbu. The big boots of an 8,000er were not supportive. So I decided that I will use a 6,000er, carry the boots it with me,
Oh.
and change the boots in Camp 2. Okay, so that
Oh.
really helped me during the final summit push because I did the Kumbu crossing in just 4.5 hours. Okay, so a lot of learnings. The rotation is not just about acclimatization, I would say. Mountaineers should realize that there's a lot of learning during the rotation that you can come back and correct at the base camp.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it was filled with a lot of challenges, I would say. Uh, However, eventually the thought process of not giving up so easily was very strong. The preparedness was full. I had no regrets about my preparations. And then eventually, the summit window came up. I decided that I would summit on the 16th of May, which would be Buddha Purnami. I was also carrying the Save Soil flag with me, so it would be a tribute to Sadhguru on Buddha Purnami. So the 10th, we did the puja. We decided that to be able to be on the summit on the 16th, we had to leave on the 12th early morning. Okay, so 2 a.m. was decided that we leave on the 12th. And unfortunately, on the 11th, we heard in the afternoon that the 16th weather on the summit is not very conducive. So we either had to prepone the summit by 1 day or wait for a few other days, to start our summit push. And I was not willing to wait for a few more days because I was more worried about the human traffic, right? Because everybody was trying to push after the 13th or 14th of May. So I and Lakpa, we said, hey, let's plan to cut short our night at Camp 2. Let's spend only one night at Camp 2 and push. But we still continue with our plan of leaving on the 12th early morning. So that happened. So we reached Camp 2, spent a day less there, spent a night less there, which again was risky, right? But again, a lot of things were calculated, which meant that if I had to spend an additional night in Camp 3, that would be okay. So we were carrying additional ration for it, additional food. So there was additional oxygen cylinder that we carried. So it was a very well thought of plan. And, I made it to the summit on the 15th as planned
Mm-hmm.
at 8:04. It was an awesome feeling. There were probably around 20, 25 people there on the summit. It gave me a good amount of 30 minutes to be on the top, enjoy the views. And only after a few moments, I realized that, hey, now I am one among the 6,000 plus odd people from across the world out of the 8 billion that are standing on top of that Everest. But Parth, even today, I find lack of words to describe how I felt there, the initial moments, because I think the mind went silent. Okay, so I don't have words, but I can explain the story for 24 hours. I can sit and explain the complete story, but I don't have words for those first few moments on Everest, unfortunately. But
You
I've
know,
got great pictures.
I want to ask you, and that's something I don't have actually. When I reached the summit, my phone, I had kept it in the outer pocket of the down suit, the biggest mistake. When I removed my phone, it was covered in a layer of ice. I could not even touch my phone. The all the moisture
Yeah.
went in the pocket and it froze around my phone. Could not even touch my phone. Gone.
Yeah.
GoPro dead. Mingma Tenzing, who was one of our Sherpas in our team back in 2019, we climbed it with
Yeah.
Satori and from North. So he was in our team. I asked him, Dai, he just approached the summit. I told him, Dai, I'm really screwed up right now. I reached the summit of Everest and I don't have a bloody camera to take even one photo. Can you take a photo for me?
Yeah.
He's like, first
Yeah.
I will take photo of my client and then I will take. I'm like, God, okay, makes sense, but just make sure you don't run out of battery. Just one photo. Actually, I had carried 6, 7 banners, including India flag. You know, some
Uh-huh.
people who had helped me and some potential people who I thought would help me if I take photo. Is stupid. But
Nothing came.
no, nothing came.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I reached the top, there were nobody up there. There was literally nobody up there. 15, 20 minutes, I was all
Uh,
by myself. Then my Sherpa came up, Funaru Sherpa. And then the famous traffic jam photo on the
uh,
south side.
yeah. Yeah.
Those people came up. So it was a complete fiasco on the summit. And when
Yeah.
my turn came to, for the picture, I removed my flag. I wanted
Yeah.
to go on the side where there was no people. Mingma Tenzi said, I have only 1% battery. Sit where you are right now. I sat there between people, and that's why my summit photo is surrounded by people. It could have been anywhere in the world, actually. I could be in
Yeah.
Mumbai,
Yeah.
and that photo
Yeah.
would look like that. So there were a
Yeah.
lot of smart ass people who told me, oh, it is a fake photo. I'm like, yes, it is. So what? Yes, it is. I don't give a shit. But then that's how it happened. And your pictures are very nice from the summit.
Yeah.
I want to ask you one
So,
thing which
so,
I always
yeah.
thought of.
Yeah.
When I reached the summit, the view that I saw, I had seen that view in millions of pictures and videos and documentaries all my life. But when I saw
Mm,
it, it
mm,
was so different. Same mountains,
yeah.
same
Yeah.
view, but just so magnified, so real.
Yeah.
Something like that happened to you? Like, how was the view experience for you?
No, I think to me, when I looked around, I realized, man, everything is so small around. Okay, except when you turn around and look at Lhotse and
Lotse.
Makalu, right? Then you know the magnitude at the height that you are in.
Yes.
But everything is just no comparison, right? And I tell a lot of people it was like flying over Leh in an A320, right? Approaching the Leh airport, they are at around 30,000 feet, and you open the window and start admiring the views. It's very similar up there, but you are in the open. You don't have windows. You have nothing constraining you. You're walking around in open space. The wind is hitting your face, right? So that's the type of experience I can tell people. And yeah, so the battery problem, I experienced it when I was attempting Gimland in
Yeah.
2021.
Ji.
Uh, and so what I did was I bought some extra pair of mittens, hid the phone and my Insta 360 camera inside that. It was well packed and safely kept in my backpack. So it survived the cold. And yeah, so that is how I was able to capture the videos. So yeah, so my videos, I think I've become very creative these days.
Yes,
The
yes.
videos are coming out well. My edits are coming out well. You should definitely see the Ama Dablam videos. Capture all on 360, and just amazing, just amazing.
Absolutely. And how was Ama Dablam for you? And for people who like just to give a little perspective, you submitted Ama Dablam in 3 days or 4 days, 3 days?
Without a route, without a rotation.
Three
Without a
days, right?
rotation. We did it in 3 days. Yeah, 3 days. From the
Yeah.
base camp up 3 days. Yeah.
So for people
Yeah.
who don't know, it is almost a 7,000 meter mountain, 6,9 something, right? 6,900 meters something. If
Yeah,
I
you can classify it as a 7,000er
Yeah.
because once you submit that, you get the certificate from the Nepal tourism, not from the Nepal Mountaineering Institution. So you can classify it as a 7,000er. It's a
Okay.
6,816,
Okay.
right? But it's
It's close
classified as a
enough.
7,000er when it comes to the Nepal, the certification authority.
Awesome. And just to give people a little perspective of what a 7,000 meter climbing mountain should be like, you do one rotation at least. You touch 6,000 meters, something, you acclimatize at that altitude, then you come down, rest, recover, and then you launch for the summit. Sunil ji, here from base camp to summit, no rotation, directly summit in 3 days. So I would like to know why and how.
Okay, so Ama Dablam Parth is a love for everyone who does the basic Everest base
Yes.
camp trek. Okay,
Yes.
so the moment you see Ama, you fall in love with her. Okay, and crazy people like us, we want to attempt Ama Dablam. Okay, so again, when I was doing my first climb, Labuche East, I saw Ama Dablam, and I said, Lakpa, I want to do it someday. Okay, I didn't know what that someday was. But Parth, I don't know whether it's a coincidence. I submitted Labuche on the 22nd of October 2021. I submitted Ama Dablam on the 22nd of October 2022,
Wow.
exactly 1 year apart from
Mm-hmm.
my first climb into doing Ama Dablam.
Mm-hmm.
And Parth, Ama Dablam is very beautiful and extremely technical.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely technical. So if I want to put a scale in terms of complexity, right, with due respect to each mountain, okay, because every mountain is different. But when it comes to just the climbing part alone, right, I would say this is like 20x tougher than Everest, right? With due respect for Everest, Everest has got its own different challenges, okay, the oxygen, the Lhotse phase, the Hillary step. But from a pure climbing perspective, this is just blew my top
Interesting.
off,
Interesting.
okay, just blew my top off. So the rotation, a zero rotation was never thought of initially. Okay. So I went to the base camp, rested well. I realized the body had acclimatized well. I had a fellow climber. She was from Norway, Annie, and even she was attempting Ama Dablam, and we formed a good bond. Okay, and that helps a lot in the mountains when
Mm-hmm.
you have like-minded
Mm-hmm.
people, with the same level of energy. So, and Lakbaba is good at forming teams with like-minded people. So he said, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
Annie and Sunil, you will summit together, right?" So we started off. So we carried a lot of load to put in camp two and come back.
Mm-hmm.
What we didn't carry was the boots.
Okay.
Okay? We just
Okay.
because up to camp two you can go in your regular trekking boots. You don't need
Okay.
the 8,000 one,
Yeah,
okay, or
it's
a
just
7,000 one.
rocks. Just rocks.
Yeah, it's just rocks, okay, and you don't even have to wear your full down suit till up to camp two.
Mm-hmm.
You need the down suit beyond that. So
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
carried everything except the boots. So we started our push to camp one and path from base camp to camp one. Believe me, it's a pretty long hike.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it feels never ending. Okay, and that is when I started thinking, man, does it even make sense for us to come down all the way and go up again? Okay, so the mind started putting some plans. Okay, and casually I started speaking to my guide, Sering Pemba, and I was asking him, Sering Bhai, has anybody done Ama Dablam without a rotation? And Sering said, Adai, a couple of Russians have done it a couple of years back, and I was their guide. Okay,
Oh,
now my confidence increased
yes.
because I know I'm with a person who has done Ama Dablam without a rotation. So that confidence increased. And then I started talking to Annie. right? On how she is feeling reaching Camp 1, whether she wants to do this rotation again, right? And then eventually we decided uh, probably we should do a summit push. Okay. And what that meant was we were taking an utmost risk in case if we were not able to summit because of lack of rotation, that would also mean our attempt of Ama Dablam is done and dusted because I don't want to come and climb the yellow tower again. I don't want to come and do the grey tower again. Right? It's so torturous. So then we
Hmm.
started, I convinced the Sering that it is doable because we were ready, mentally prepared, physically fit. Annie was mentally ready, physically fit. We were talking to each other. The body was acclimatizing very well. So it was now taking that extra amount of calculated risk. So we call Lakpa, who was managing the operations, and he blatantly refused. He said, "No way you're going to do." Okay. Because we had to talk to him because we had to request him to send the boats up because we were not carrying the boats. So he said, "No way, I'm going to send the boots because it's too risky." So I had to make an agreement with Lakpa that I would start the summit push and I would also know when to abort. Okay, I would not take that risk beyond what I'm able to take. So with a lot of talking, he acknowledged. So we pushed up to Camp 2, and believe me, Yellow Tower is a torturous place, very very difficult. And if you are very strong, it's a different ball game. If you're extremely experienced climber, it's a different ball game. For me, it was quite tough. And we went to Camp 2. We slept through the afternoon, and then we got ready for the summit push the night of 21st October, and then we pushed forward. And yeah, so we were very fortunate. I think we were prepared for it. I don't call it as luck because luck is just an excuse that you give. Okay, so I think the opportunity was there. The weather was pretty good. There were not many climbers. We were prepared, and that marriage happened. Okay, and guess what? We bet multiple things. Climbing Yellow Tower with a lot of people in the queue is not easy. Okay, going up the mushroom ridge with a lot of people in front of you, pulling and pushing the rope is not easy. So it was a very calculated risk to make sure that we summit Ama Dablam and experience the climb rather than getting pushed and pulled around on the ropes with a lot of people coming in. And believe me, it became literally a traffic zone last year because there were a lot of people, people who couldn't do Manaslu for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
story. Everybody came to Ama Dablam. Okay,
Right.
so it became a big fair at the base camp.
Mountain
So
Fest.
yeah, things went well. Things went well. Submitted Ama Dablam. Uh, Took that calculated risk. It worked out well. However, I would not advise anybody to do that if you don't have an experienced guide with
Yes.
you who has
Yes.
done it before. And a lot of people come and ask me, "Hey, I want to try Ama Dablam." When I ask them, "What other peaks have you done?" They say, "None." And they tell me, "Oh, the expeditions companies tell me that I can come to do Ama Dablam. They will train me at the base camp and they can do it." And I tell them, false prophecy. Okay, the
Mm.
expedition companies, sorry to say this, they want customers, they want clients, irrespective of whether they don't refund you money when you don't summit, right? The money is gone. So I always tell people, climb a 6,000 in Nepal, not even in India. I respect the mountains in India, but the Nepal mountains are very different when it comes to the terrain, when it comes to the weather conditions, right? So even before you attempt Ama Dablam or Everest, please attempt one 6,000er or a 7,000er in Nepal. Get to know the environment, get to know your Sherpa well, and then go for it.
Awesome. Awesome. Absolutely. I can see. Adiyogi behind you. I can see Sadguru behind you. I can see
Yeah, yeah,
the same ring finger on your left ring finger
yeah,
on your
yeah.
left
I do.
hand.
The snake ring. Yeah, yeah.
I can't end this without asking, what is Sadguru to you, and how has he changed your life, if he has, as a guru, and how has the practices helped you to climb the peaks outside and the peaks within?
Okay. So good you brought up the word Guru Parth. I want to briefly touch upon my understanding of a guru. Right, there is always that saying. I think in the Vedas, which says that when you are ready, the Guru comes to you, not the
Hmm.
other way around.
Hmm.
Okay, you can't go and search for a Guru. Try it; it won't happen. Okay, so in that way, I've been very, very fortunate in my life, professionally, personally, and even in the mountains. I consider Lakpa Bhai and Sering Bhai as my gurus.
Mm-hmm,
Okay,
mm-hmm,
now you need to understand that what does ready mean, right? The guru comes to you when you're ready, right? We are all ready, absolutely ready, but why are we not getting the right guru? That's
mm,
the question that you need to ask yourself. So I realized that ready intrinsically has got three different things. One, you need to be starving to learn something. Okay. You need to be welcoming that person who comes to you. When the guru comes to you, he normally comes and touches your ego. Okay. And these are the people that we push aside because we
yes.
don't like anybody touching the ego. Okay. Look at Krishna, what he does to Arjuna. Look at Dronacharya, what he does to Ekalavya. Right. When they approach their disciples, the first thing they do is touch the ego. And you know, right? Sadhguru does that very well.
Always, always.
Right. So you need to be willing to accept that person into your life. That is second. Third, most importantly, you should be willing to surrender to that person fully. No question asked. If Lakpa tells me to do something in the mountains, I don't ask him questions. If Lakma tells me, quit now, you are done, I don't ask him questions. That is full surrender to me. Okay. So Sadhguru came into my life back in 2006. Okay. And Isha Foundation at that time was still very nascent. You know, you didn't have anything else in Coimbatore except that Dhyanalinga and that beautiful structure, right? Everything else was, like jobdis, like sheds. And I think Sadhguru to me is a possibility. Okay. So for me, life is always about creating new possibilities. Okay. So if you ask me what's your purpose, it's about creating new possibilities. So that is what Sadhguru is to me. It's about creating possibilities. And he has been a big inspiration. Look at the amount of things that he's able to create, the possibilities that he's able to create, be it the Linga Bhairavi, be it the Adi Yogi, be it the Save Soil, be it the Kaveri calling, it's all about creating new possibilities. So that is what I've imbibed from him. And I do follow him in terms of some of the things that he tells, some of the things that he, wants us to grasp. I'm not very much regular into my kriyas.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I have done kriyas very regularly in the past. Meditation happened to me. Again, you can't do meditation. Meditation has to happen to you. Meditation happened to me. And to me today, meditation happens to me when I'm running, right? Beyond five
Hmm.
kilometers, right?
Hmm.
It's meditation for me. I'm just flowing. Everything is happening. The body, the energy, the mind, everything, aligns and it becomes extremely blissful. So I don't sit and meditate. I don't have to sit and meditate for me to meditate. I can just run and
You,
meditate.
you
I can
know,
just go to the gym and meditate.
absolutely, absolutely. And here is something, which I always in my best way, try to explain people. See, Kriya Yoga is a different thing. It is not a meditation. It is a specific energy work. As Sadhguru says,
Yes.
meditation as a word does not describe anything specific. You can be doing dhyana, dharana, japa, and a lot of such things. And in the West, we call
Yes.
everything meditation, which is wrong. But I
Yes.
don't know how to meditate. I know how to be meditative. How?
Yeah.
It's very simple. If I'm talking to you, my full attention is on you. If I'm eating, my full attention is on the food, the smell of the food, how you are feeling it on your fingers, how it is feeling in your mouth, it is going in, the chewing. If I'm running, the focus is completely on my steps, on my breathing. So every aspect of our life needs to become meditative. Don't do meditation. You will always fail, because once you
Yeah.
sit with your eyes closed, everybody knows what nonsense starts here. Kriya is a different thing. It is not meditation, it is a very specific energy work. But that's what
Yeah.
I always say, as you rightly said, that when you're running, for me, running is one of the most, for me personally, the purest form of getting into a meditative state where everything
Yeah.
quiets down. It's just a rhythm, focus on my breath, very few things remain, and the awareness bulb shines a little brighter. And the same thing happens
Yeah.
actually even when I'm trekking. When I go out for the
Yeah.
treks every, second, third day behind my house, I don't like to trek with anybody. I don't like to listen to music when I'm running or trekking. The sound of my breath, the feeling of my heart pumping on the left side of my body, and the thoughts which are born, which grow. I like to see them, Okay, that you stupid thought, you are starting now. Let's see where you go. Let's see. And
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
able to see it.
Absolutely.
And mind says, oh, it's sunny, and oh, let's just go to this place today and come back. You've been training
Yeah.
since 10 years. Why do you need to one day come back? It's okay. All these things, mind, you know, as Sadhguru says, there is no subtraction or division in thoughts.
Multiplication only.
There is only addition and multiplication.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's very interesting for me to observe my own mind. How much
Yeah.
it
No,
tries to.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, for all the people that I train people to run, I train people to cycle. I don't entertain them if they come with headsets for running. Okay. And when I'm doing the gymming, I don't interact with a lot of people. Okay. It's
Yes.
me, it's my time. Okay.
Yes.
And one other thing, you may laugh at it, but one of the other things that I do every day morning, which is again meditation to me, is cleaning my home. Okay.
Oh,
Every day
sir.
morning, I take up the vacuum cleaner and I clean my house. Okay. It's sometimes
Absolutely.
I feel that I am purifying myself by doing that.
Yes.
It keeps my home clean. It keeps my yet clean. And by the time I'm done, by the time I take my bath, sit for work, there is absolute clarity and freshness. Okay.
Absolutely.
So
And
cleaning my home is meditation for me. Okay. So
absolutely.
forget running, forget anything.
Yes.
मैं झाड़ू मारू तो वो meditation है मेरे लिए.
Absolutely. I stay alone by myself. The first task after I wake up is clean my home, even if I have to go at a trek at 5:30 in the morning. I wake up half an hour early to clean my house. For some reason, it sets my mind in a very clear state, where every thought, every emotion should be, it places it there. And as you rightly said, when you're cleaning your house,
Yeah.
it's like you're cleaning something within
But again,
yourself.
you are lucky you are still single. You'll get married soon.
Very
And,
soon, very
your
soon.
wife will say that, you are like what? A clean freak. There's a word for that, right? Like
OCD,
if you want to
OCD.
keep everything. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you will start hearing that, huh?
Oh, no, no, no.
A
No,
lot
she's
of my wife
also.
says, my wife and kids say, when I tell my kids I want to clean your room, they just lock it. Okay. So it's a different ball game after you get married, huh? So be cautious about
No, no,
it.
absolutely. I mean, luckily with my fiance, who will very soon be my wife, I have lived with her in her house for 3 months. She has come and lived here for a long time. She is also her alignment, her perspective towards cleaning or washing dishes is very similar to mine. She does not like unorganized spaces. You know, if
Yeah.
if if I've removed my t-shirt or my shoe somewhere, she would be like, she will not say anything. She will just pick it up and put it in the right place, which is even worse. Silent treatment.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
so
yeah,
luckily, but what you were saying, whenever a friend comes over to stay there, they go crazy because in the morning I tell everyone stay in one corner, don't move when
yeah,
I'm cleaning. So they go crazy, but my fiance
yeah.
luckily, yeah.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
and 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 before we end this on a, I want to end this on a lighter note. Would like to do something called as rapid fire, which Karan Johar has started in this country. So,
I'm probably bad at it, but
oh no, it's
let's give it a
very
try.
very simple questions. Very simple questions.
Okay.
Like, what is your favorite food?
My favorite what?
Food, food dish.
Oh, my favorite food is the famous masala dosa of
Hmm.
Bangalore. So
Hmm.
I relish masala dosa. Yeah.
Is there any specific place where you like this?
Several places in Bangalore. But one of my favorite is a place called CTR, Central Tiffin Room, in a place called Malleshwaram. So I get to go there often. So I
Okay.
enjoy eating masala dosa there. Yeah,
Awesome. Awesome. When I come there, we will go for a masala dosa.
definitely, definitely. Yeah.
Which is your favorite movie of all time?
Movie, that's a tough one. I think I'll go back to my college days. Sorry, the school days, and I would say it was probably Kayamat Se Kayamat Tak.
Okay.
Okay, seeing a very fresh face in Amir Khan
Yes.
and wanting to be Amir Khan, wanting to
Hmm.
impress the girls in the school,
Hmm.
right? So I think I can go back and say, yeah, QSQT, I would say was my favorite.
Which is
Yeah.
your favorite Bollywood actor? Amir Khan?
Bollywood actor, I would stick to Ranveer Singh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Is got that versatility in
Yes.
types of acting he can do. He can go from one extreme to a totally different extreme.
Absolutely.
Amazing
Absolutely.
guy, amazing guy.
Is there a favorite artist of yours in terms of music?
Yani, Yani.
Yani, yes.
Have you heard about?
Actually,
Yeah.
no, no, actually, you introduced me to Yani on your Instagram
Really?
stories. I had I had heard
Yeah,
I had heard of him before. Of course, he's a very famous artist, but I had never bothered to consciously listen. But when I heard on your story this one song of his, "Truth of Touch," "Touch of Truth," "Touch of Truth,"
yeah. Touch of
"Touch
truth.
of Truth," yeah.
Yes,
I
yes,
just
yes.
went
Yeah.
crazy. I'm like, who is this genius? Then I listened to that song and then a few others. So you introduced me to that legend,
Yeah.
that
He
genius,
can, he can, he can, he can touch your emotions
Oh,
with every, you know, uh, press of the piano that he plays. He can touch
absolutely.
your emotions. I was, what I like the most about him is, I've been listening to his music since when 1990. That was the first time I got, introduced to his music. I've been listening. I had a dream of attending one of his live concerts. He performed in Delhi for the first time in front of the Taj Mahal. I couldn't afford to go to Agra at that time. Okay, so I was still starting to work. I'm referring to 1996.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
However, the dream of listening to him in a live concert was so strong that it eventually became true. I think in 2012 or 13, he performed in Bangalore,
Oh,
and I attended the concert.
wow.
Okay, and what I really like about him is his simplicity
Hmm.
and his humbleness and his way of creation. He tells that uh, when I'm creating the music, the way I feel when I'm creating the music, I want the listeners to have the same emotions when they are listening to that music.
Wow.
Okay. So that is what touches you, right?
Hmm.
Everything that he creates touches you because he is creating with that mindset of, mesmerizing his listeners with every stroke of it.
Wow. Absolutely. And more than just performing, he is able to what's the right word? Transmit what
Yeah.
what he is. He is
What he's
actually
going through, what he's
yeah.
going through. Yeah. When he is composing that music. Yeah. Absolutely right.
And I see that in you know so many great artists. Michael Jackson, if you
Yeah.
see, he doesn't
Yeah.
dance, he is dance.
Yeah.
He becomes
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
dance, he becomes the beat, the violin. He becomes whatever is going on the stage in terms of music. He just
You
becomes
put it
that.
so nicely, Parth. Yeah. You put it so nicely. He is the dance. Yeah.
And I have been fortunate enough to learn tabla under the guidance of Ustad Zakir Hussain. And
Wow.
when I look at him perform, I don't see the separation between the man and the instrument. He
Yeah.
becomes the instrument. And
Yeah.
I, like, recently I met him in our tabla class. Every year he comes.
Mm-hmm.
I, and I was just sitting at his feet. He was playing, and I was just looking at his face. What happens to us when we are climbing mountains happens to him when he is performing or when he is playing tabla.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
just completely one. He dissolves. There is no Zakir Hussain, the personality, the person left. There is nothing like that left. And I asked him this question actually this time, that, you know, uh, I've always felt his presence as a very powerful presence, almost as
Uh-huh.
powerful as a very highly evolved spiritual being. And even this is my own experience. Even before he arrives, I can feel it. My heartbeat goes up. I can
Yeah.
feel his presence, his high voltage energy arriving.
Yeah. Yeah.
I asked him, in my experience, I feel you as a very spiritual being, but you've never done any sadhana. I have
Yeah.
a Sadguru who is teaching me Kriya Yoga and this and that. He's like, my Guru was my father, and my sadhana is my instrument. And he said the
Wow.
same thing which Sadguru says, that
Yeah.
any sadhana you do, it is not the sadhana
Should become
which
part of you.
it is not the sadhana which does anything to you. It is your involvement which actually does everything
Yeah.
to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And when I see
Absolutely.
Zakir Hussain, he just dissolves when he's playing, and I
Amazing. Amazing. He's an amazing master,
amazing
right?
soul,
So
amazing.
glad that you trained under him. And
Yes,
and and you just said that when you see him play tabla, there is no difference between him and the instrument, right? They
yes.
become one. And I tell a lot of people this, Parth. You may agree to this. The gear that we wear in high altitude climbs, the down suit, the big boots, the mittens, right? Everything, right? It should become part of you,
Mm.
right? That
Don't
is
carry
where I
it.
say, that is where I tell people, never never attempt Everest without having tried this before.
Right.
Okay. Because they need to become you. You can't carry them, right? Because the first time you wear it, the first time you summit, even though they are very light, you lose complete flexibility, right?
Oh, yes, yes,
Your
yes.
ankles won't move, your
No.
elbows won't move, right? Now imagine people wearing that and trying to do Everest as their first major climb. Okay, it's going to be a torture. Okay, so make climbing gear a part of you, right? That is your ayuda. If you are doing the ayuda puja, that is your ayuda. You need to
Mm.
see there is always that connection to the karna kavacha, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was part of him. It was protecting him, right? So make the gear part of you, whatever it might be, whatever it may be. If you are a good trekker, make that backpack part of you. You should not feel the backpack, right? It should become part of you, right? So
Absolutely.
that is
Very well
something that I
said.
would tell every aspiring climber.
Yes,
Never try
absolutely.
something, with new things on a big adventure.
No. Very true. Very true. Which is Now, this is a hypothetical question I ask everybody. If scientific logic or financial constraint or logic or nothing is a limitation, what is that one crazy dream that you would like to do? For example, my one of my dreams is to climb the highest mountain on Mars, 12,000-meter high. Something absolutely crazy. And is there something like that which comes in your mind?
I would, with the technology that has improved so much, I would like to fly into space
Hmm.
and see the world, see the Earth, go around from that space shuttle there, up there, is something that I would love to,
Yeah,
if money is not a constraint.
yeah, absolutely. Me too. Me too. Space travel is one of my childhood dreams. If
Yeah.
you could raise one person from the dead to ask him one question that you always had in your mind, who would that person be and what would be that question?
I think it would be the Shirdi Sai Baba. Okay. And I would like to ask him, how could he influence and touch so many people, right? By just being an ordinary person, by being a fakir. Okay. He didn't have anything. He used to beg till his last day, but he touched people. Okay.
Wow.
So it would be one person would be Shirdi Sai Baba, but I would put two people.
Yes.
And the second person is Sri Shivakumara Swamiji of
Mm-hmm.
the Siddhaganga Mutt in
Mm-hmm.
Tumkur.
Mm-hmm.
People call him a walking god.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think he lived up to 110 years, uh, but selfless service,
Mm-hmm.
selfless service. And
Hmm.
if I could ask him, I would just ask him how, right? How was he able to do that? And even today, 14,000 kids get fed 3 times a day, are given free education, given free accommodation in that Siddhaganga Mutt. It's around
Wow.
70 kilometers from Bangalore, and that uh, thing continues. And I am very fortunate to have come from his institution. I did my engineering at the Siddhaganga Institute of Technology
Okay.
under his blessing, and it was absolute selfless service. Okay, absolute selfless service,
Hmm.
and he would sleep on the ground, till his last breath. He didn't have all the luxuries. He didn't travel the world. However, the number of people he has inspired across the globe is, beyond imaginable limits. So these are the two people that I would
Awesome.
definitely ask these two
Awesome.
questions.
Awesome. Awesome. If there's one last thing you would like to leave the audience, especially the young people who are looking to get into climbing mountains, what would be that last piece of advice?
I think dream big, uh, chase your dreams, never doubt your capabilities, and never underestimate the mountains, never take them for granted, and be truthfully honest with yourself. Okay. And I'm sorry to bring this apart. I do know a lot of people uh, claim to have submitted some peaks, even though they have not. They have attempted those, they have not reached the summit. Yet they don't have that humility to accept and go back and do it again. Right. So that is bringing a lot of wrong impressions to a lot of other climbers
Mm.
who follow them. Right. So please, 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 be absolutely honest with yourself and prepare well, and don't take shortcuts. You will only learn to go and scale bigger ones only when you do the smaller peaks. So be truthful about them, respect the mountains, keep them clean, and never get into the mode of ego or overconfidence once you summit a peak.
Hmm.
Because once you do that, that's the end of your climbing, profession, I would say.
क्या बात है क्या बात है Awesome. And I'm very sure if we continue talking, we can go on for 28, 48 hours. And
We can, we can.
and I hopefully will meet you at the Everest Base Camp. I'm bringing a group there. And if you will be there between rotations, would love to record a face-to-face conversation about deeper aspects of life. This one, the idea
Yeah.
behind doing it online was just speaking about the basic things for the audience to be introduced to you. And then when we meet there face to face, we can speak about some deeper aspects of life. And it will be
Yeah.
interesting to have a conversation on Everest Base Camp. And thank you so much,
Oh, it'll
Sunil
be
ji,
amazing.
for your time,
Thanks, Parth, for the opportunity.
and wishing you all the best. Whoever is watching here, please wish Sunil ji all the best on the comments or on his Instagram. And please follow his journey, his daily routine. His day, it's very inspiring. And we will speak soon, Sunil ji. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.